Welcome to the world's #1 fitness business podcast for health club owners, gym managers, and fitness entrepreneurs. As always, this will be a great show as we have another expert to help your fitness business and your career. We'd like to thank our premier sponsor, Active Management, for supporting us, and we highly recommend becoming a member of Active Management to strengthen your business in 2016. There are loads of resources members receive, so join the Active Tribe today at www.activemgmt.com.au. Now that's enough from me. Let's welcome the show's amazing host, Chantal. What's on this week's show?
Harbour, as you know, last week we featured some of our favourite women in fitness. So this week it's only fair that we look back at the very best of the boys from the last 20 shows. Now, FBP Tribe, I have carefully selected these segments, and trust me, it was not easy to narrow it down to just 30 minutes. And I can promise you that all of these guests are definitely going to inspire you with their pearls of wisdom, their strategies for success, and some really great business tips. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our guests in just a minute, but first, it's time to get a little interactive. Let me ask you this. If you could ask any former FBP guest a question, who would it be and what would you ask? I actually want you to hit pause on the podcast right now, go over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, click on my picture, which is at the top right of the screen, and tell me who you would ask and what your question would be. We are then going to collect all of your questions, and in show 50, which is down there in May, you can listen in to hear all of the answers. So go on, hit pause now, jump onto the website and ask away.
This month, we have an awesome prize for people who subscribe to the show notes at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com or engage with the Fitness Business Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or even emailing us. Do it and you may be this month's winner. Now it's time for this week's guest.
It sure is, Harper. As mentioned, this week it's the best of the boys, and we're going to be tuning into show 22 to get us started. And that was when JT from Active Management joined us and talked about what we need to know when it comes to our customers and creating our own avatar. Then we head over to show 24, where Mike Michaelowitz tells us about the Profit First formula and how we can work it out for our own businesses. Plus, Mike is going to share with us his top 3 pieces of advice for fitness business owners. From then, it's over to show 25. Tim Keightly gives us his top tips for keeping personal trainers motivated and what we should look for when we're recruiting personal trainers for our business. And last but not least, show 34, Jim Worthington gives us his 3 key habits for success. First up, Tribe, we are diving into show 22, and this is JT from Active Management, where he talks to us about what we need to know about our customers and creating our avatar.
And I know on a previous show, I just can't remember what show it was, I talked about building your avatar.
Yeah, that was an early show.
Yeah, it might have been.
It was an early show. I'll have to find it at the show
Ages
notes.
ago.
Yeah, I think it was in the single digits.
Shows,
Yeah.
okay. So people go back to the single digits ones. And certainly you can start building your avatar based on demographical information, but you'll quickly move from the constraints of age, sex, location and income. You'll move from that because you'll need to get deeper down and find out more.
You need to get that more specific to build that avatar.
Yeah. So what we need to know about our avatar or our main customer that we want to approach is what are their wants. So let's aim, if we're trying to work this out, let's aim, for example, to name 5 things that this avatar would have on their life wish list. Not what they want in a gym, but what do they want in life? What would be 5 things on their wish list? Their worries. You know, what are 5 things that they are worried about in life and try and be as specific as possible? What are their threats? What are 3 or 5 threats to your member or your potential consumer's success, both personal success or professional success or even success in their gym or exercise, that could be overcome by using aspects or components of your services?
Yeah.
And then the last one that we need to think about with this is what are the big opportunities, like big opportunities? What are 3 or 5 opportunities that could open up for your member or your client when they use aspects or components of your club or your services? So we pull out the basic demographic crap and we focus on their wants, their worries, their threats, and their opportunities.
It's really a much more, I'm going to use the word intimate, picture of your customer, isn't it? It's a much more intimate understanding of them, far beyond what traditional demographics can tell us.
Correct. And I think, once you complete this component of that avatar, you're going to be well prepared for a new consumer. And I think it opens up new markets.
Yeah.
It opens up huge markets. So, I think for people out there, our challenge that I want to give you is, as an industry, we need to explore new opportunities for products and services through innovation. Simple as that.
And next for our best of the boys, we've got Mike Michaelowitz from Show 24. He's going to tell us about the Profit First formula, how we can work it out for our own businesses, and his top 3 pieces of advice for fitness business owners.
Do you want to maybe explain, for those that haven't read it yet, do you want to give us a bit of an overview about the Profit First formula?
Oh, sure. So, we've been told, I know you have, everyone I meet has been told the traditional formula. And what the traditional formula is sales minus expenses equals profit. So in your business, you have sales, right? That's the revenue you generate from selling whatever products and services you do to your customers. Then you have to subtract expenses. That's the expenses you incur to deliver those sales. And the leftover is profit. The remainder is profit. Now, that formula sounds nice and it logically makes sense, but the formula is absolutely wrong because most businesses are never profitable. There was a study conducted in the U.S. I subsequently continued it on a global level, and the statistic is roughly 84% of small businesses are surviving check by check. So that means the majority of people listening to this show right now, Chantel, the majority of people listening are barely getting by. If they don't get a deposit cash in the next couple weeks, if they have a payroll to pay, they're not going to have enough money for that. If they don't get a deposit in the next month, they're on the verge of going out of business. And what confounded me is how can so many people have the courage, the intelligence, the chutzpah to build a business, to sell to clients, to deliver the service we deliver, to do all this stuff, but we can't figure out profit. And that's when it struck me that we're not defective. It's not a problem with us, the entrepreneur. The problem is the formula. And here's the absurdity of the sales minus expenses equals profit formula. When profit comes last, it gets forgotten. And that's human nature. What comes last gets forgotten. Think about the last time you were picked for a team. If you're the last person picked, that's the worst person. You don't want to be last. Could you imagine the absurdity of saying, I'm going to start getting really healthy and fit, but I'm going to do it at the very end of the day. It's going to be the last thing I do? No. If you put it first, it gets addressed. What if you decide to put your health last in life? I mean, that's ridiculous. What comes last is treated as a forgotten element. And that's what I believe is happening to profit and why so many businesses are not profitable. It's the last consideration. We look for it at the year end. We call it the bottom line. We actually give it terms to soften the blow of being last. What I suggest in Profit First is put profit first. The new formula is real simple. It's sales minus profit equals expenses. What I mean by that, the next time a deposit comes into your business, literally a deposit comes in today, take a predetermined percentage, 5, 10, 15%, a predetermined profit percentage, take that money out of that deposit, tuck it away, and now the remainder, the leftover, is expenses.
And I should say, Mike, you go into a lot of detail in the book to help people work out the formula and understand the formula and stuff like that. And in actual fact, you encourage business owners to really take an honest look at their business numbers, don't you? And in the book itself, you give examples, and one particular one, which I remember, where the outcome can be quite confronting to people. So, I
call it the ice bucket challenge. Did that meme hit Australia?
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Okay. So all this global phenomena where people are, in their skivvies, taking a bucket of ice water, pouring over their head and shivering, and they're doing it for this fundraiser.
Yeah.
A great viral meme. Well, when you do your first, what I call profit assessment or instant assessment is actually what I call in the book, it's like that ice bucket challenge. Because what I did is I studied about 1,000, I surveyed 1,000 of the most fiscally elite or healthy companies in the globe and identified the percentages they were running at. And these are small businesses that do less than $250,000 in revenue up to bigger small businesses that can do up to $50 million in revenue and everyone in between. And when I studied these companies, I found out what kind of profits they were throwing off, what kind of money the owners of that business were making, what kind of taxes they had to pay and how they were reserving for it. And what's fascinating is I compiled this thing I call TAPS, target allocation percentages, meaning if you want your business to be fiscally elite, these are the numbers you should target to allocate to these different purposes: your pay, your taxes, your profit, and your operating expenses. And when people see these TAPs, these numbers I've identified, they compare their numbers, I call this the ice bucket challenge. Because these companies run this and they say, well, I've never had a profit before. I'm at 0% is my profit historically. And they look at their fiscally healthy competitors and they say, wow, these companies are taking 25% profit. The owner's making 30%. Are you saying, Mike, a company that does, say, $500,000 in revenue, the owner is taking a benefit in pay and in profit of over $250,000? That's not even possible. That's crazy. It's not crazy. It is possible. These other companies are doing it. You can do it too. But the first moment you see that, it's the ice bucket challenge. It'll shiver you to your bones. So top piece of advice for fitness owners, I guess it's true for any business owner, but realize this is setting a vision for your business that you're going to reverse engineer. Once you set your profit percentage, the profit goal you're going to set for your business, you'll actually find and reverse engineer your way to get there. This is the same as setting a fitness goal. I want to lose 10 pounds and I want to be able to do 50 push-ups. Whatever those goals are, you don't start there, but you set that vision, you rewind. Well, once you set your profit goal and you start allocating these percentages, it forces you to reverse engineer your way to get there. You'll look at your business and say, this isn't working, that is working, this isn't working, that is working, and start being much more selective of what you do. So step one is just simply a realization. Set a profit goal, and the rest of it starts coming in alignment. Step two is leverage what's working and stop doing what's not. It's really that simple. Look at your business's history, especially over the last 90 days. What have you done that's brought results? Have you done some specific marketing that's brought in more members or more clients? Maybe that's something you want to amplify. I suggest it is. Have you done marketing that's done nothing for you? It's cost you money and there's no results. Stop doing it. It's that simple. And look at every element of your business. Determine what's working and what's not. The old Pareto principle will come into play, and that's the 80-20 rule, where 20% of the things you do yield 80% of your benefit. So when you look at things that are working and not working, the majority of things actually aren't working. So stop those and then find the things that are working, amplify those, and you'll find that is the most profitable way to grow a business very rapidly. And then the third and final tip is be selective of your clients. This is probably the most unexpected profit principle that's out there. Not all clients are created equal. Not every client is right. They're not all good. Sort your clients out. Look at the ones that are the most profitable for you, the ones that you love doing business with, that pay you on time, pay you a premium, and that you just love overall. Those are the clients you should pay your attention on. And then if you have the courage, the low-lying customers, the ones that you can't stand doing business with, they're never satisfied, they ask for refunds, you got to redo your work over and over again. Those clients, have the courage to fire them. There was a fascinating study that was done, and the results of the study blew my mind. The top 20% of clients yield, when it comes to revenue, around 150% of the revenue of any business. That means the small fraction of clients are generating your revenue plus. And if you think about it mathematically, how can you generate more than your profit from clients? It's because this other part of the study that blew my mind away. The lowest 10% of your clients usually result in a 50% loss in profits. That means your lowest clients are costing you business and your best clients are covering for them. Have the courage to get rid of your weakest clients and automatically your profits get boosted.
Let's now tune in to show 25, where Tim Keightly gives us his top tips for keeping personal trainers motivated and what we should look for when recruiting personal trainers.
When you're working with a personal training department and when you have previously managed PT departments, how do you find is the best way to keep those guys motivated?
Let me start by telling you the worst way to try and motivate them, because generally it's the one that most people try. To give you an idea, I have a thing called 21 Questions to Your Success, which is many questions I've learned, begged, borrowed, stolen around the world over the years. But one of the questions in there, number 5, says, why are you in fitness? And I've actually asked this question since 1996 when I first started training trainers for a living. Why are you in fitness? And I've asked over 14,000 people since then. Nobody ever has said to sell for a living. Yet, ironically, when you look at most businesses around the world in PT, they're all set up about how much you can sell. You're the best personal trainer if you sold the most. So the very first thing I would say is, let's seek first to understand before being understood. Why do people do personal training? Change lives, make people happy, live their passion. Everything from wearing pajamas to work and shouting to people, whatever it is, it's not to sell for a living. So I highly recommend that you find out why your PTs want to do this, who they want to do it with and what they want to do for them, and then build your business around that, i.e. motivate them on goals. It's not just how much did you sell. Maybe who services the most clients per month. Maybe who gets the most renewals, which means the clients are happy and they come back. Maybe it's as simple as, why not get feedback from the members in the gym and the clients? And actually, like we do with businesses where we get net promoter scores on the business itself, we could do that on the PTs themselves. There's many things you can look at with the PT to motivate them. Of course, money is important, but generally for a personal trainer, if it was purely about money, they'd be on Wall Street trying to sell finance. It's not what they're in it for. So think about what puts a smile on their face. Motivating them at internal competitions, not just for them, but with their clients. The list goes on. But the most important thing is to acknowledge why they do it. And it isn't just to sell for $1, a buck, a pound, whatever it may be.
So do you think when we go about employing a personal trainer, if we're a business owner and we're looking to build our personal training team, with that in mind, what are you looking for? What would you suggest that we look for when actually recruiting new trainers to our team?
First and foremost, define what it is you want your business to stand for, because there's many different styles of personal training. For example, mine is very simple. Even though I was qualified to teach people sports conditioning rehab, I didn't enjoy it. So actually, I'm not a very good personal trainer for that clientele. Personally, I enjoyed working with recycled teenagers, also known as the over 55s, because we just had fun.
I like that term.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to become one next month, so I get it. But there's something amazing when somebody says to you, do you know what? I played football with my kids for the first time in so long.
Yeah.
Or I got up the stairs and didn't ache. Or I just got up in the morning and felt good when I got out of bed. So the reason I say that is define what your business is about, what your marketplace is, who your clientele are, how you want them to be treated and served. Then look at what personal trainer do you need to deliver that.
And now we're going to dive into show 34, where Jim Worthington gives us his 3 key habits for success.
It's obvious just from our conversation today that you must have so much on your plate. I mean, it's clear that you juggle so many tasks. Do you want to leave us today with maybe sharing 3 habits of success that you have to really stay focused, stay happy, and I guess stay in control of everything that you're kind of looking after?
Well, one thing I would tell you, anybody in this industry, because it's, and I started, just like everybody else from the ground up. 3 things I tell anybody: it's long hours. You have to exercise. You have to get sleep, if enough sleep, and you have to eat right. And part of that is because you want to be productive, but that's what we believe in, right? That's what we do as an industry. We should be preaching that anyway. So physically, I think there are things that you need to do. Number 2, and I would say the educational component we touched on. To be successful, you have to find successful people, and whether they be mentors or people that you believe in, that you can go and bounce things off of or learn from and ask questions. I did that early on, and I'm still doing it. And I'll be 60 years old this year, and education is huge. The one thing I would tell you, and this is going to sound like odd, but a real specific thing that I found early on was to write down your goals every day and things that you want to accomplish. I take and write it down is important, because Harvard recently did a study. I was told that you're more inclined to accomplish things, 7 times more inclined to accomplish something if you write it down versus using any other medium. So in other words, if you put it on your phone or in your computer or stuff like that, that's great. but you're better off handwriting it down, and you'll be 7 times more inclined to get that accomplished. In 1981, I've kept every one of those lists, and they fill 3 file folders, it's like a diary of your whole life. And I actually recently had them all photocopied, and the 3 binders are in my safe at home. That's how valuable I think those things are. I could go back at any time and look what was at any time from 1981 on bi-monthly of the things that were done and needed to be done, things that I accomplished. Interesting enough, the top 10 things on my list, and typically I have 70, 80 things on my list by the end of a month or two, and maybe 20, 30, 40 are accomplished. The things that don't get done get pushed to the top of the list. Some of the things at the top of the top 10 of the list, some of them have been on there for 6 and 7 years. Some of them are personal items I want to get done, but I still know that I'm going to get it done. And my goal is to eventually get them done before I die. And then the last thing I would tell you that, and I live by this, I learned this at a real estate seminar in 1978. I was getting out of college and there was no jobs, and I needed to find some way to make money, and I took a real estate weekend course. I remember the guy asking us all why we were at this seminar, and everybody had there was like 30, 40 people there, and diverse people from, housewives to men that lost their jobs and so on and so forth. It was a bad economic time then. And everybody had good reasons, and the gentleman that was giving the lecture, acknowledged that. But one thing he said, you all want to do this and you all want to be successful. He said, but what's going to differentiate, the person that is successful from the people who aren't, that will be that successful people will do what unsuccessful people could do but choose not to do. And that's the people that are generally going to be successful. And I was a young guy, I was only like 21 there, but it's just hit home. And I live by that. When I know even now, after all these years, a Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, the middle of summer in July when everybody's out in good weather here in Pennsylvania, I'll be working, or I'll be taking a phone call. One of the things I do is I'm a developer, real estate developer. When I just got done in an apartment complex, for 30 apartments in town here, Newtown, luxury, really nice high-end stuff. I put the sign out on the building. It's, call for information. It's my cell phone number. So I could get a call at, 9 o'clock at Saturday night. Somebody drives by there and says, hey, I'm going to call this number. And, it's funny, when they call and someone answers it on a Saturday night, they think they're going to leave a message. Yeah. They're shocked. And then when they find out that I'm the owner of the building, they're even doubly shocked. And when that happens, it's pretty sure that you're probably going to get, if they're serious, you're probably going to get them as a tenant because they're talking to the guy who owns it, which is unusual. But again, that's what I find, a successful person will do that. And, somebody that's not necessarily unsuccessful, but somebody else might say, well, I don't want to be bothered on a Saturday night. Well, that's the business we're in. So, that's kind of a motto I live by, which is, so far has been okay by me.
The Fitness Business Podcast is very appreciative of our podcast partners. Here's a quick word from one of our partners.
As you know, one of our goals at the Fitness Business Podcast is to help you grow your business. So I love it when I can tell you about solutions to help you do just that. One of our podcast sponsors is Tribe Team Training, and I'll tell you exactly why you need to remember that name. Let me start by asking you 3 questions. Is your club struggling to grow your membership numbers because of more and more competition? Is your club under pressure to reduce membership fees for your existing members? Do you lose members who go to niche small group programs like CrossFit, boot camps, and boxing, where they often pay double what they're paying with you? Well, the good news is that some clubs have found a new way to grow their club's revenue and profit without having to sell extra memberships.
They're doing this by implementing a highly profitable small group training system called Tribe Team Training. In fact, one regional club with only 600 members takes over $200,000 per year on top of their membership fees from their Tribe Team Training program. So, what's it all about? Well, Tribe Team Training is a complete small group training business system that helps clubs make more money without having to sell more memberships. Whether you're currently running small group training or not, it is worth taking the time to see what Tribe Team Training can add to your business. In fact, some clubs have grown to over 30, 40 and 50 sessions per week, with members paying $10 to $15 extra per session. Most clubs have underutilized space or time that can be generating extra cash for the club, extra work for the trainers and the Group X instructors, plus delivering outstanding results for members. The Tribe programs work on large exercise floors and in small functional training spaces with as little as 60 square metres. You may have already have functional training equipment, but without the consistent delivery of fresh programs, it's difficult to take maximum advantage of it. Now, regardless of the success of your current programs, Tribe is offering club owners a free online briefing so you can see for yourself the difference between team training and small group training, the difference it can make to your members, the opportunities it gives to your trainers and instructors, and the extra income it can add to your club. So, to register for your free briefing, all you need to do is head over to tribeteamtraining.com or tribeteamtraining.com.au. Let me tell you those addresses again. It's tribeteamtraining.com or tribeteamtraining.com.au. And of course, a copy of both of those website links will be in today's show notes.
It's time for the Fitness Business Podcast Wrap.
For today's takeaways, I'm going to give you my favourite pieces of advice for each of today's guests. First of all, JT from Active Management said that we need to not focus on the demographics, but rather the needs of the people. We need to be able to identify and name 5 things that our customers or avatar wants on their life wish list. Mike Michaelowitz said that we should be selective of our clients. Not all clients are created equal. Look at the ones that are your best and focus on them. If you can get the courage to get rid of your weakest clients, your profits will automatically get boosted. Tim Keightly told us that when recruiting new PTs, start by defining what you want your business to stand for. Then look at the personal trainer that you need to deliver that. And Jim Worthington reminded us to write down your goals every day because you're 7 times more inclined to accomplish something if you write it down. And he also said that successful people will do what unsuccessful people could do but choose not to do.
It is my absolute pleasure to welcome to the show Mike Hill, the Director of LeisureNet Solutions. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for joining us all the way from the UK today. Now, you're going to tell us about the 2016 ActiveNet event. Tell us all about this year's event.
Okay, well, ActiveNet has now been running for 2 years. This is our 3rd year, and it's the leading business-to-business networking event aimed at the active leisure sector in the UK, and it brings together over 100 leading suppliers and buyers for a content-rich day and a half at Loughborough University. The conference centre at Loughborough University is where we've held the last 2 or 3 years' events.
And what's the date for this year's event?
It's the 25th and 26th of April.
Excellent, excellent. And tell us a little bit about what people might come to expect or what they might take away from the event.
Okay. So it's a really interesting combination of educational events, networking, lunches and dinners, and then the one-to-one, face-to-face speed dating, for want of a better word, but it's obviously totally business orientated. So we always kick off the day and a half with a keynote standing start. So it's 20 minutes, something that's quite inspirational, motivational. And then we go into about a couple of hours of educational events. And these are a couple of workshops, seminars, industry panels. We have a quick break for coffee. And then we go into the real meat of the event, which is our 20-minute one-to-one face-to-face meetings. And the way these are structured are all of the buyers and all the suppliers register on our website prior to the event. And then about a month beforehand, we open up the meeting schedule and people can go on and choose who they want to meet in advance. And then when we close that meeting schedule, we press a magic button, our software mixes and matches everyone up. So everyone gets a schedule of 14 to 16 face-to-face meetings, and there'll be a combination of meetings that they requested, plus a combination of, together with meetings that suppliers or buyers have requested. And sometimes you'll obviously end up with those little golden nuggets where you've requested a meeting with someone and they've requested a meeting with you. And that takes place on the morning of the first day. We have lunch. We have the further meetings in the afternoon, the second day, and then we have a big gala networking dinner with after-dinner speaker, and then we get up nice and early on the second day and finish off with a morning of a further 7 to 8 meetings, and then just a buffet lunch to say goodbye to people.
Love the sound of that. So with that in mind, who should be attending the event?
Well, it's a combination of buyers or operators and suppliers. So the UK event is aimed specifically at the public sector over here. So that's local authorities, trusts or not-for-profits, and universities and colleges that operate in the higher education and further education sector. We only really invite senior people, managers or directors. They need to have whole budgets and have the ability to make purchasing decisions. So we're quite selective about who we invite on the buyer side of things. And then on the supplier side, it's really any supplier that's interested in getting into that marketplace and would value having, yes, the informal networking time, but more specifically those one-to-one 20-minute meetings, pre-selected, where the interesting thing about our event is that the suppliers sit at the tables and the buyers move around. In some other networking events, it's the other way around, but we felt it was important for the suppliers to sit still and the buyers or operators come to them. So it really is a combination of as I say, leading suppliers together with leading operators across those different subsectors within the public sector, active leisure, UK.
Okay, so if people are looking to come along and attend the event or book tickets, what do they need to do?
Okay, well, the best thing to do is to go to the website. So if I can give you that website address, it's nice and simple. It's www.active-net.org. And on that website, we've got loads of information about the event. They can download booking forms. They can see a video of the past year's events, so they can really get a feel for the buzzy, business-focused atmosphere that we try and generate.
I definitely recommend checking out that website. There's some lots and lots of good information on there. So, Mike, is there any final comments that you want to add?
Yeah, I think the thing I'd stress is that this event isn't about necessarily big budgets and big fitness equipment. In the past, these events have tended to focus on health and fitness club owners or chains that wanted to refurb or build new gyms. These days, we have a real variety of suppliers that come along. A lot of them are using new technology to do old things in new ways. Some of them are about saving money. Some of them are about generating new sources of income. So I wouldn't want people to feel that they need to have that big budget or that big refurb in order to justify coming along. Even if you think your operation is going along quite smoothly, this is all about meeting new suppliers with new ideas, smarter ways of doing things.
That sounds excellent. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today on the Fitness Business Podcast.
Okay, that's my pleasure.
Next week, I'm interviewing Mike RC from Loud Rumour. And to get you warmed up for that little chat, I actually asked Mike our quick fire 5 questions. It is my pleasure to welcome to the show Mike RC from Loud Rumour. Welcome to the show, Mike. Now, do you want to kick off our quick fire 5 by telling us a little bit about Loud Rumour?
Yeah, so we are a local marketing company. We focus on small businesses. In particular, fitness has been a niche that we've been working in better and more than any other industry. And we focus on Facebook ads primarily, but we do AdWords, YouTube ads, as well as all the other little things that come along with it.
Excellent. So we're going to today just really kick into our quick fire 5 questions so we can learn a little bit more about you. Does that sound okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do it. Question number 1. Why do you do what you do?
So I love marketing, and I actually used to own a personal training company as my first stint in entrepreneurism. And so recently being able to merge the two just makes a lot of sense because I love them so much.
Love that. And what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Best piece of advice came from a movie, which I don't remember the movie. It was dumb people make mistakes and keep making them. Smart people make mistakes and learn to never make them again. And geniuses watch others make mistakes so that they can avoid making them altogether. So I invest a lot of time learning from others so I can avoid as many mistakes as I can.
And you're telling me you can't remember the name of the movie?
I can't. I was so young, and I remember It was in a hospital, and it was a father talking to his son, and that's all I remember. I have no idea. I've looked it up so many times, I can't find it.
Maybe one of our listeners might have a clue. They might be able to write in and let us know if they know where that quote's from.
I hope so.
Mike, tell me this. What's a personal habit that helps you become better at what you do?
Working on staying focused as best as I can. One of my favorite books is The One Thing, and one phrase I pulled from there was, what's the one thing you could do right now such that by doing it, everything else would become easier and necessary? And I ask that before diving into every task that I do. So that's been probably my most important habit.
That's a great habit. And speaking of books, is there one particular book that you'd recommend?
For what we're talking about, Starts With Why. Actually, for a lot of things, just great. It talks about building a business off of your passion, and that people don't buy what you do, but they buy why you do it, and really learning how to articulate that to your audience.
Yeah, I think that's a book that we have spoken about in the show before, Simon Sinek. And if any of our listeners haven't yet gone on and grabbed that one, that is definitely worth having a read of. And tell us this, why should our tribe come back next week and listen to your show?
Well, if you have a fitness studio and you know it could be better than where it is today and you want more customers, you should definitely come back. That's all we're going to talk about, and we're going to dive in really deep.
I cannot wait. I'm really excited to talk to you about this topic, Mike. So thanks so much for joining us for the Quick Fire 5, and we look forward to hearing from you in next week's show.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
So that's next week. One last reminder that you can win a 12-month membership with Active Management by subscribing to the show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, or engage with us on the Fitness Business Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or you can even send us an email. Do it, and you might just be this month's winner. Thank you for joining me for another week of the Fitness Business Podcast. And remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.
Great show this week that you should be suffering DOMs, delayed onset mind soreness, as you are overloaded, and that's when your mind is strengthened. You and your business have been strengthened thanks to the amazing support of our premier sponsor, Active Management. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au, only if you want to strengthen your business and your leadership. Don't forget, all today's links and notes are found at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, where you can also subscribe and never miss a show and maybe win a prize. Next week is another incredible guest with Chantal, so get ready for more Fit Bizpiration.